On this week's episode of Motivational Minutes, Dr. Dustin York explains why you don't have to be an extrovert to persuade people to see your point of view. We get into this conversation often, and it sometimes feels like there's pushback from some people when we have it, but it's, there is a component of leadership that it has to do with your ability to influence others.
Mm.
And I think maybe people get a little uncomfortable with that because it's almost like it's, that can be good or bad, right? There can be people who influence you to do negative things.
Yeah.
But in the concept of leadership, I think the idea is, you have to be able to convey a vision to a team member or the masses and get them to buy into what it is that you think is this best move for your organization or for a task at hand, whatever the case may be. But you have to be able to convince them to buy into that idea. So all the things you've mentioned, communication is going to be a part of that. Nonverbal communication is going to be a part of that. Your branding is going to be a part of that. I mean, it all comes back to all the things the precursors that will get you there.
Yep.
And then your communication and the passion for what you're discussing is going to hopefully bring people over the line to join you.
Yeah.
In that mission. So that's sort of how I see it. And that's sort of how I live, I think, hey guys, we should do this. And I tell them why. And, hopefully they come along, because it's a passion I have for it.
And Corey, what I hear you say, it's definitely that, that I hear that a lot too from students. I got a question, was it last week or 2 weeks ago at, doing this in an auditorium. A student said, I said the same thing I'm hearing you, that, I'm not very persuasive. I don't like to sell people on stuff, this kind of thing. And I'm not an extrovert. Right. That feels like a lot of characteristics of an extrovert. And absolutely, you do not have to be an extrovert. Right? I think like sometimes, I don't know if it's from TV, probably movies, right? Because they think the CEO or whoever she or he have
boisterous and loud.
Yeah. No, 100% no. You, and I love, I think you brought it up a good 3 times just during this chat, is authenticity. Authenticity, I think now, especially if the audience that you're talking about is Gen Z or millennials, especially if it's that group, they care more about authenticity, right, than anything else. That is the key factor. So no, you're not trying. Maybe if you're trying to get into, finance or marketing in the 70s, right? If that was when you're trying to get into those fields, or maybe even the 80s. Yeah, you're probably going to have to play like the cookie cutter role of who I think should be, right?
The yuppie from
yeah.
Right.
Corey, the cool thing is 2022, that's not the case anymore, right? Authenticity. That's what I'm drawn to. I don't know about you. When I follow people on Instagram and whatnot, I like authenticity. That's what I care about. And some of these are, I'm going to tell you something real dorky, if you don't mind. The TikTok algorithm has forced me into Legos recently. I didn't know I liked Legos until the algorithm told me I like Legos. And there's this this woman, kind of an introvert, kind of quiet, but she makes great Lego videos, right? And I'm drawn to that. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And she tells me about these projects and whatnot. So authenticity in that aspect, 100%, you can be a leader. You can be a professional communicator. Don't think that you have to fit into this pre-developed mold of what you see on TV. It's not the case whatsoever. So I love that you brought that up.
Subscribe today for more inspiration on the go.